Stitch number 11 on the Singer Quantum Stylist 9960 is the blind hem stitch. Now it's also one of the main stitches on the original panel of direct entry stitches. So it is this one here, and when you pick it, it comes up to stitch 11. Ask for foot D, which is the blind hem foot. This is an adjustable foot, so I'm going to show you how to actually get it adjusted for the fabric thickness you're using it for. And there's also a new symbol on the screen, so that is a mirror image option, which if you mirror image it, it's no longer a blind hem stitch, but it can also be an overlock stitch, and it does ask you to use a different foot B. So I'm going to just put it back to its original desired settings. Now remember, if you need to make it any wider or longer, you can go into the stitch width or length and even come in and change that if you wanted a little longer stitch difference. We'll go ahead and stitch it out and see if that's even needed. A lot of times the default settings are no problem. So let's just go ahead. We'll leave it as needed. So the way you fold a blind hem is you start with the fabric at its newly folded edge. So this has been maybe cut off or trimmed, and now you're ready to fold it up. You press this new hem in place. Now to do a blind hem, the fabric's actually folded back. So if you've ever done a blind hem by hand, the idea is that you take a little tiny stitch into this fold all the way down. So we're going to let the stitch, as it bites to the left, as you can see by the picture, to bite just a little tiny bit into the fold. So that's how we're going to need to adjust this little white guide, and the little screw will move it in and out. And then when it's new, it comes pretty well pushed all the way in, so you're probably going to need to bring it out to a little distance. What that distance is, well, I'll show you how we figure that out. With the foot snapped on, slide your fabric all the way in and underneath the foot. Now don't worry about where the first stitch is going to go, but from what I see, the first stitch is coming down on the left-hand side. So I want to lift the foot up, move the fabric all the way in. Don't worry about the guide just yet, but just enough so when you hand turn the needle, it's going to come into the fabric and give myself a little bite into that fold. Now, if that's about what we need, then what you do is you actually adjust the guide. See how this is moving? You bring the guide so it touches and even hugs like a little bit further than normal. All right, nice and kind of get cozy in there. Okay, so then when you sew, all you're going to do is keep the fold of the fabric running up against the guide. So this is what it looks like. Now, I could tell I kind of got away from the guide just a little bit and I missed a stitch or two. But when I was nice and close to it, you can see where it bit into the fabric. Now, obviously, I wouldn't be using pink thread for this type of stitching. I would use a matching thread. So these stitches would end up what it's called a blind hem stitch. So now that you have a better idea, when you, again, put this in, keep it nicely hugged up against the fold of the fabric, and I might just do it, let me just stitch over the top of it. Now that I could see, I was really lined up, but I really wasn't pushing the fabric up against the guide as I should have. There we go. Now you can really see the difference. So that's what you're looking for. If you'd like to lengthen the gap between these stitches out, that would be where the stitch length could be lengthened on the machine and you could get a little bit more distance between each stitch. But all in all, if that was a matching thread, it would be perfect.